Hi everyone, welcome back to another at-home speech and language video. In this video, I'll be sharing some quick tips on how to target speech and language while playing different types of games. If your child has goals targeting different speech sounds or articulation goals, you can pretty much adapt any type of game to practice their sounds. While playing board games with your child, you can print out or refer to a list of words containing their speech sounds. Before they take their turn, they can practice saying a speech sound. If they're able to put their target words into sentences, you can do that as well. This is a quick way that won't interfere too much with your game, but it's a good way to get some extra practice in and help your child generalize their skills to different situations. If you're not the board games type, you can do this with outdoor games. If your child likes to play basketball and shoot hoops, you can have them practice a word before they take a shot. And if you specifically tell them that just for the first 5 minutes we're going to practice speech while we do this, they shouldn't have too much of a problem with it. And I know a lot of my students are gamers, so you can also use their video game time to help them practice some speech sounds. As stated before, you can have a list and just pause when they reach a certain objective or reach a certain point in the game. If a certain amount of time has elapsed, that could work. Or you could have them spend the first 5 minutes of the game they're playing finding different things that have their target sound. So if they're working on the R sound, you could have them try to find as many objects or characters that have R in their name as possible in 5 minutes. Make it kind of a scavenger hunt. These are all just different ways to help shake it up if you're getting a little bit tired of just practicing from a list. And remember, if you clearly delineate 5 or 10 minutes of this game time for speech, and your child knows that that's the expectation, you can knock out that speech practice while doing activities of choice. If your child has language goals that target their expressive or receptive language, something that's really helpful is working on describing different semantic features of various objects. This helps build your child's semantic vocabulary skills, which can aid in word retrieval and just expanding their general vocabulary. You can work on describing with your child during almost any type of activity, and especially while doing the games that I mentioned previously. I'll give you an example of how to do this while playing basketball with your child, although you could do it during any type of game. So you could have your child, or you could pick out any type of object around the house, let's say a flower in the yard. In between each shot, you could ask them these questions to try to get them to describe a flower in a more full and well-rounded way. You could ask them, what group does a flower belong to? And an easier prompt to help them would be, a flower is a type of, and you're prompting them to try to say plant. So coming up with those categories is very helpful for their semantic knowledge. Before they take the next shot, you could ask them, what does a flower do? Or what do you do with a flower? You can plant a flower grows. You could push your child to list at least 2 or 3 different actions, depending on what object you're talking about. And then you can talk about, what does a flower look like? What color is it? What size is it? You could get specific with different types of flowers too. You want to avoid just generic things like it's pretty. That doesn't really give us anything that helps us distinguish what the flower actually looks like. And then before they take their next shot, you could ask them, where do you find flowers? Well, you could find them at the garden shop. You can find them in the wild. You can find them in my backyard. Once again, depending on what you're talking about, there are a lot of different possibilities for what your child can say. And it's always great to list more than one. You could ask them, what parts does a flower have? It has a stem, leaves, petals, or depending on what the object is, what it's made of. And then you could ask your child to come up with any associations that they have with flowers, any specific memories that they might have, or something maybe that they learned in science class. Making associations about objects is very helpful for, once again, building that semantic knowledge. You would not have to do this the whole time that you're playing. Definitely let your kid enjoy themselves, but this would just be something that you could do just for 5 minutes. Just take one object. Working on speech skills in different types of settings is wonderful and helps your child carry over the skills that they've been working on into their everyday lives. And there you have it, some ways that you can target speech and language at home while playing different types of games. Thanks.